Hey there blues fans, John here with the Blues Guitar Institute, and this is your Tuesday Blues lesson number 143. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube to really support this channel and make sure that you're up to date with every single lesson that goes live every Tuesday here on Blues Guitar Institute's channel. If you want to learn how to take things a little bit further, be sure to watch to the end of this video and I'll tell you how you can get 3 free premium level lessons from the Blues Guitar Institute. But today's lesson, we're going to focus on how to develop a cool acoustic bluesy jam from a simple idea. I think you're really going to get a lot out of this, so stay tuned and we'll dig right in. We're going to take that little piece that you just heard and chop it up into 3 main parts. We're going to start with this little idea. It's very simple. We're just plucking out a nice little bass on the E with the thumb. I'm doing this really softly. I just want this kind of groove and this laid back vibe. So I'm not really thumping this out with any sort of force. Really just kind of lightly attacking the string. And I'll show you why once we get through the next couple of sections of this. But the main idea is this bass, just something simple like that. Change it up a little bit in a second, but we're going to add this little chord move here. Really just a little double stop, because we're just playing the top 2 strings, the first string and the second string here, playing the open E and this C sharp up to the D. So for the most part, we've got a constant bass, but I do like to do a little double thump on it when we go into this little move here, this double stop. Hear how we did like a little stumble there? And I'm letting my thumb drop out when I'm doing these double stops, rather than keeping the constant bass. And from this idea, we're going to build a nice little jam, the real start of an acoustic blues jam. And that's the first thing, just this little simple idea. Let's see where we can go with it. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is we can break this up, this double stop. We can add some contrast to it by adding a nice little bass tag. Something as simple as this real classic bass tag. So this is pulling off on the 2nd fret here, this E note on the 4th string to the open 4th string, a D, and then doing this G note here on the 6th string and kind of pulling it sharp, doing a nice little quarter step bend there. And it sounds really good when followed up with an open 6th string. And hear how I'm adding some real attack to this. That's part of the magic of this. Even though it's a simple idea, a lot of it is in how you play it and how you actually pluck the strings. So when I'm plucking on this pull-off, I'm doing so with kind of this upward picking motion, kind of picking out and away from the guitar body with my index finger here to get a nice snap out of it, a real percussive sound. It's a nice contrast to what we've been doing in the low end so far, which is just this real light touch on the thumb. And hear how that snapping really goes all the way through this thing on the bass. So I'm doing it on the 6th string as well. And notice how I choke it down when I do the open 6th string. So we do the pull off, and then I'm stopping it. And then we're going back to that real light push here. Then add that back in. starting to sound like something already. We can also answer this little bass run a little bit. We can do this funky sort of Texas micro lick here in the bass, which is really a lot of the same idea that we just covered, except I'm doing this little hammer-on pull-off from the open fifth string, which is the A, to the first fret, and then off. So it's a real quick hammer-on pull-off, and then the same third fret on the sixth string, that G note. Notice how I'm applying that very same picking attack on my picking hand here. So now we've got some variety going here. And you just intersperse that. Just keep going back and forth and keep this little double stop idea going while alternating, or go with what feels good on these little bass runs. And another thing that you can do is, we did a pull off like that. So we went from this higher note here down to the low. You can also do the opposite. It works really well too, especially when you pair them together. So I'm just doing almost the reverse. We're just pulling off on the sixth string from the G to the open E, and then stabbing that E in a higher octave there. So you can see where we're going. We've now got some options to really just make this thing start to breathe a little bit. And I want to show you one last idea to really start taking this off on your own, and that is we'll introduce a nice little lick here. And it's really got me pulling up into this register here, into this little section. Right here is a nice cool place to play. This is an E note and this is a G. So this is obviously the root when we're pumping out this E idea here. So that sounds super good. And then we've got this G, which we've been playing with the G here on the sixth string, but here, up here in this higher octave, and that's the flat third, a nice minor note here when you're working in E. So it gives it that nice bluesy, sort of sad tone that we're looking for when we're playing some cool blues. So what I'm going to do is build a lick around that little idea. And we're going to start with that. So we're going to slide into this E on the 5th fret, 2nd string, then hit the G on the 1st string, 3rd fret, and then the open 1st string. Because we're going to shift position, so it's nice to hit this open E rather than this one in this instant. Then we're going to keep working down and see where we can take this thing. So I'm going to hit this D note on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then roll across the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. That's an A note, and then back to our E. So it should kind of feel like coming home when we roll through that. That's a cool little run right in and of itself. But now what we can do is finish it off with a bass tag. Right back into our little groove with the double stops. So let's have a listen at a nice little jam, just throwing these ideas in where they feel good. If you've got your tab, then you can follow along with the ideas, but the key is to really put these things in an order that just feels really good to you in the moment. That's the idea behind jamming. So practice these things, get them under your fingers, but then let it go and just really feel your way through this. Here's an example of what that might sound like. Notice how we threw in some little repeats within the licks themselves. It's a nice way to really just kind of dig in and feel your way through this. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I hope that it was eye-opening for you, that you can really sit down and just kind of stumble on a simple idea and then really grow things out and develop into a nice acoustic jam all by yourself from that simple idea. Now, if you want to take this further, or if you're looking for a great place to start with acoustic blues, then I highly recommend signing up for the Acoustic Blues Jumpstart. Now, this is a premium course from Blues Guitar Institute, but I'm offering the first 3 lessons from the course absolutely free. Just go to bluesguitarinstitute.com/start now and find out how you can get that 3-pack of lessons absolutely free, my gift to you. That's it for this week. Be sure to practice smart, play on, and I'll see you next week.